Should you take a girl that you just met a couple weeks ago out on a Valentine's Day date? No! Hey guys, men's dating coach HarryWilmington here, founder of IntrovertDatingSuccess.com. And on today's show, we're going to be answering a question from a Reddit user that wants to know if it's too early on to try to take a girl he just met out for a Valentine's Day outing. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/HarryWilmington to be notified when I post up new videos. All right, guys, so as you know, this weekend is Valentine's Day. And to that end, for those of you that are single guys or aren't currently attached, you may have possibly met somebody within the past couple of weeks that you're starting to feel. You've been on maybe a date or two and things are going well. And you're wondering if now is too early on to try to take her on a Valentine's Day date. And that's the question this particular Reddit user posed to Reddit that I'm going to answer, because I have my own thoughts and feelings about whether or not you taking a girl out on holidays or birthdays for somebody that you've just met, when that should be happening, and what could possibly happen if you do it too early in the process. So we're going to go over that. This, of course, is day 5 in the various podcasts that I've done this week about modifying your mindset. And a big part of modifying your mindset is recognizing habits that you may be doing that up to this point you didn't understand were habits that aren't beneficial to attracting women and getting them to want to be in a relationship with you. And this is one of those things, because if you're not careful, you could be doing something that's too early on in the process and possibly ruin your chances altogether. By the way, if you want to opt into my free 5-day mini course that sends you audios every single day for 5 days about how to modify your mindset and rethink the way that you think about dating, go to introvertdatingsuccess.com/modify your mindset. All right. So let's go ahead and get to this one. So the title of this guy's question is, should I call and ask her about Valentine's Day? And it goes like this. He says, so a couple of weeks ago, I matched with a girl on Tinder who we'll call Sierra, and she and I hit it off pretty quickly. We've hung out together a total of 3 times. Each time was at her place. We'd watch movies, chat, occasionally drink, and always ended up having amazing sex. The last time we hung out was on her birthday, and she had actually ended up getting me a small gift because she said she thought of me. All right, so I want to pause right here, because so far, the results that this guy is getting is superb and amazing. So just to recap, he's already been able to go over to her house 3 times, and each time he's gone up over there, they've had sex. So that means on the first date, second date, third date, sex is happening. Totally awesome. This is great, okay? And then he says that on her birthday, she actually gave him a small gift because she thought of him. So these are all very positive signals. So far, she trusts him enough to invite him over, and it's a situation where she's actually getting him stuff. And he mentioned somewhere down in the comments that he actually had gotten her like a card also for her birthday. So in terms of that kind of stuff, like, things are going pretty decently. I personally do not like the idea of early on in the dating process celebrating somebody's birthday, but I know sometimes that you can't help with that happening. But it's interesting, because there are certain ways that women are going to view you based upon how serious they think you're taking things. If you're taking things too serious with a girl early on, she could be thinking that you've already arrived at the point where you know that you like her and you want to be with her, and that can apply pressure. But here's the thing, is that sometimes when those things are happening early on, a woman in her head is going to be having these 2 thoughts. One, which is like, I want to be treated this way and I want to be treated special and kind. And then the other part of her is thinking, this is a lot. This is going on too soon. Why is it happening so early? Why is he so trustworthy? Why is he already suddenly decided that I'm the person for him? Is he trying to say that he already views me as the girlfriend? This is a lot of pressure. And so this is why I try to tell you guys to err on the side of not doing things early on that indicate that you've already said she's your person. And doing things like celebrating birthdays and holidays could possibly give that off, okay? So even though she might be reacting in the moment that she's very happy about it and joyful and stuff like that, as you do more of those things when they have not yet been earned by her early on, it's a good chance that she could possibly start to be like, wow, this is a lot. Continuing on, he says, I'm not 100% sure where things are going with Sierra, but I don't know. I'm really starting to like her a lot. And this is where you guys get tripped up, is that your interest in her, more often than not, is going to be a lot faster But if you wait for her interest to get to where yours is at, her interest in the long run is going to be stronger and more powerful. This is why you want to make sure that you're monitoring the situation of, where your like is at. And then if you're feeling yourself already having a heightened interest, sometimes what'll happen if you're not careful is that'll blindside you and you'll start doing moves that, unbeknownst to you, are actually giving away how strong of an interest you have and scare her off. This is not to say that you don't want her to know that you're not interested, but this is why you're doing things like asking for dates, having sex with her, hanging out with her, because that will let her know that you like her, but she won't know on what level. And a woman thinking that you have a high level early on, that's typically what's going to scare her off. Continuing on. He says, I'm off work on Valentine's Day, and we discussed maybe cooking dinner together one day, among other things like going on hikes, weekends in the mountains, etc., but none of that stuff has panned out yet. Okay, so now this guy's starting to make some major mistakes. And again, these are things, guys, that as you're listening to me say this stuff, you're going to think to yourself, well, Harry, how is this a big deal? Like, what's so bad about mentioning these certain kinds of things? So they've already talked about future dates, about possibly going hiking, having a weekend together, just the two of them in the mountains and all this other stuff. When you do future speak, what it says to a girl is, I'm already seeing a future with you. And that can apply pressure. And again, it sounds stupid, but I need you to think back on women who in the past you've said things like, man, I hope if we're together 2 months from now, we can do this kind of vacation. Or I'd love to someday, take you to this thing. Or I want to go to this concert with you, this and that. And then notice the times that you've said that, and then correlate that with the women that suddenly started to lose interest. The women that started to say, oh, I just need some time to myself. The women that have said, oh, you know what, this just seems like a lot, and I got a lot going on. You're not seeing the correlation between you saying these future speak things and then these women's actions where they suddenly start to back off. So they've only been dating for 2 weeks and he's already starting to have conversations and mentioning this future speak kind of stuff. And it's not that you shouldn't be thinking about a woman and where she could be in the future. It's just that for this early on in the process, you don't need to verbalize that to her and then make her think that you've already chosen her and then add pressure. And the next thing you know, she's starting to feel like you're coming on too strong or you're around her too much. And then she starts backing off. Okay. And again, this could just be my experience because I've experienced this way back in the past when I did this kind of stuff. And I've seen guys that I've coached go through the same thing where they'll say, oh, we were dating for a while. Things were going great. And then I started seeing her all the time, texting her all the time, being around her all the time, trying to plan future stuff, and then she stopped answering my calls. And then she's no longer answering and wanted to hang out with me. Okay? So you got to understand, guy, part of changing your mindset is being able to recognize that some of the things that you think that are okay for you to do and that seem like no big deal to you are huge deals to them, and you need to know what those things are so you will not make those mistakes. Continuing on. He says, so after you mentioned the thing about discussing cooking dinner together one day, yada, 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 he says, I don't know why I should know better than this, but I'm freaking out because she still hasn't replied from my last text a few hours ago, but I really want to see her on Valentine's Day. Should I call her about it, text, or let go? So notice what this guy's doing now, okay? He has texted her. It's been a few hours. She hasn't responded, and now he's freaking out. Why? Because he has too much attached to the outcome that she wants. Meaning, if he texts her and she doesn't respond back, his world's going to explode. And this is why I teach you the importance of being indifferent to outcomes, because we don't know at the moment why this girl hasn't responded back right away. It's only been a couple of hours. I've had women I dated where I text them in the morning and I don't hear from them until 5 or 6 o'clock at night because they're working, they got errands to run, they're hanging with friends, they're doing other things outside of living for me. And that's perfectly fine because that is actually normal. But this guy's high interest is now making him get haywire over a couple of hours later than usual for her to text back. And that's already a bad place to be, okay? So, but anyway, in answer to the question itself is, should he be calling about Valentine's Day? I tell you guys all this stuff. I'm just going on my own history, okay? I have had women that I've met with that as a first or second date, it was either I took them out for New Year's Eve, I took them out for Valentine's Day, or possibly the 4th of July. And in none of those circumstances did any of those women that I dated result in us going out long term. Now, contrast that with I've had women who I dated who it was near their birthday when we started dating, and it was near a holiday when we started dating, and I celebrated neither of those things with them, and we were able to have a relatively long-term relationship. Now, I'm not saying that that was the sole factor as to why it did or did not work, but what I'm saying is things like holidays apply pressure because you got to understand the signals that you hanging out with a woman on a holiday says. And what it says to a woman subconsciously is, I see you as such an important thing in my life already that I'm willing to sacrifice my time with any other person, women, friends, family, whatever, to spend with you specifically. Okay? I'm going to give all my energy and time and effort to show you how much I care about you on this particular day by getting you gifts and by taking you to dinners and by watching movies with you and by giving you massages and by doing all these romantic things because I want to show just how much I care for you after our first or second date. How much sense does that make when you say it out loud? Now, again, if you ask women this, women will never say to you, well, I mean, that doesn't make sense. Like if it's a holiday and we just happen to be dating, then we should, even if it's only been like, a couple of weeks or so, we should be able to blah, 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 blah. Because they're always fighting. There's always two sides of women's brains that are fighting each other. One is like, again, this feels great and I want this, and this is too soon. It feels like a lot. They seem like they're needing out and they're coming on too strong. And unfortunately, because it sounds stupid to say to you, hey, don't take me out for Valentine's Day because you know what, it's too soon or early on. And women don't want to give the impression that they're not having a growing interest in you, but they still don't want to like have all this stuff applied to them that makes it feel like it's pressure to be in a relationship right away, but they don't want to say that out loud because it sounds stupid. Most women aren't going to tell you that. So you're going to make the mistake of taking them out. And then a couple weeks later, you're going to get the, I just want to be friends speech. We're going to get the, this is a lot of stuff going on and I got a lot of stuff going in my life. And this is, I feel like there's too much too soon, or it just feels like, you have more feelings for me than I have for you, all because you took her out on a holiday and tried to get her some nice gifts. Now, you as a guy are not going to feel that, because you're thinking just logically, you're able to compartmentalize, well, just because I am doing this action over here doesn't mean my feelings for you are high over here. It just means that we're dating and I recognize that's a holiday and I want to do something nice, okay? We're able to compartmentalize that very well. But because women typically tend to feel things and equate and mix their logic in with a lot of emotional stuff, their logic is going to say to them, well, if he's getting me all these gifts, he must see me as an important person and he's probably already in love with me and oh my God, this is a lot. So you got to understand, just because you feel like you doing an action should not be giving off to her some kind of feeling or emotion that you don't have or that you don't is not at a heightened place, that does not mean that she's not going to interpret it as such. And this is why I'm telling you that in terms of celebrating any kind of holiday, whether it's Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, Halloween, early on when you first start dating a person, you need to err on the side of it's better to let that go and wait until she becomes your actual girlfriend before you start celebrating holidays and birthdays. Now, the last thing you may be thinking is, okay, so if I do that, aren't her feelings going to be hurt? Valentine's Day is coming up. Or let's say we're near Christmas time. What if I don't get her a gift? What if I don't take her out? How is she going to feel about that? Well, this is where I say it depends on how you look at it. This goes back to your mindset, because you can only lose if you think that not doing something is going to put you in a losing position. But I typically view that as a time of winning. For example, let's say you don't take a girl out on Valentine's Day and she gets her feelings hurt. So she calls you up and says, hey, so I know she didn't take me out Valentine's Day and I feel some kind of way about it. You could take that as a bad thing, or you could take it as an opportunity to see where her feelings for you truly are. Because if she's really hurt about the fact you didn't take her out for this holiday, it must mean by default that she has growing feelings for you that are very, very strong. At which point I would say something like, oh, so you were mad that I didn't take you out. I'm sorry to hear that. Like, so wait, so we've only been dating for a couple weeks now though, right? So I just thought since we were dating that maybe like this wasn't the right timing because I didn't know if your feelings were at a level where that would even be the responsible thing to do. Are you saying that your feelings are very high for me? Now it switches on her to have to reveal her feelings for you, all because you didn't take her out for this particular holiday. And if she says something like, well, I mean, I just, I am kind of like really feeling strong for you, this and that. And you can say, okay, great. Let's set up a date for next week and I'll take you out and show you a good time. And it's still not on Valentine's Day. And you still got the girl admitting that she has strong feelings for you. And you haven't had to reveal how strong your feelings are at all. Versus you taking her out on Valentine's Day and she's already assuming your feelings are high, and now she might be starting to worry and start to kind of back away and be distant, okay? So again, you want to err on the side of caution. You are not going to be penalized for not taking a woman out or celebrating her birthday or celebrating a holiday with her this early on in the process. Now, if you guys are boyfriend and girlfriend and you skipped out, that's a whole different story. And even then, there are a lot of couples that just decide we're so lovey-dovey all year, we don't need to celebrate Valentine's Day. But, as the guy that I'm teaching, you're going to want to try to do some Valentine's Day stuff. But early on in the process, don't think that you're going to be completely penalized for that. Most women understand this early on, that if you don't celebrate a holiday, it's because you're saving that for somebody that you find really special and that you're in a relationship with, okay? Women understand a lot more about how the relationship game works than most guys do, and they're very understanding of when you do or do not do certain things. We're the ones that have this in their head about we got to do all these extra things to make them feel things, and then we end up being the ones that also chase off a lot of women. So understand, guy, you can risk trying to take a woman out this weekend that you just met a week or two ago, but really play out in your head the long-term effects of that decision and decide if it's really worth it. Chances are it's probably not. So with that said, if you need help trying to figure out how to change your mindset, how to stop focusing on the wrong things and start learning what those right things are, and start really getting a better gauge of why it is you think the way you do about dating and how to alter those things so you can reboot your mind to be a more effective dater, go to introvertdatingsuccess.com/modify your mindset, or click down on the link below this video and check out that free e-course. Thank you for watching this episode of the Introvert Dating Success Show. If you found the info in this episode to be helpful, please show your support by clicking on the tip jar tab, the link of which can be found at the website and in the description below. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this episode, and catch new episodes every Monday and Thursday right here on YouTube or wherever podcasts can be found. In the meantime, be sure to check out these other episodes so you too can learn how to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.